If I hadn't burned that letter all those years ago, maybe my son and I would have spoken again before he died. Maybe things would have turned out differently. I've carried that thought with me every single day of my life. This story isn't about success or fame. It's about pride. The kind that feels like strength when you're young, but turns into poison when you grow old. I'm telling you this so maybe you won't make the same mistake I did. It happened almost 40 years ago. Back then, I was a man who believed he was always right. I ran a small hardware store in a quiet Midwestern town. Life was simple but honest. My wife, Margaret, was gentle and patient. Everything I wasn't. And our son, Daniel, he was my world. From the moment he could walk, I imagined him taking over the store one day. I used to picture us side by side behind the counter, father and son, working together. But Daniel had different dreams. He loved music. He'd spend hours in the garage playing his old guitar, writing songs that, to me, sounded like noise. I never understood it. To me, music was just a hobby. Real men worked with their hands, built things, earned their living through sweat. So when he turned 18 and told me he was moving to Nashville to make it big, I laughed in his face. I told him dreams don't pay bills. He told me I didn't understand. And maybe he was right. The last words we said to each other before he left still echo in my mind. He shouted, "You never believed in me." And I shouted back, "Then prove me wrong." He walked out that night with nothing but a guitar case and a broken heart. For months, I expected him to come back. I thought he'd fail, realize I was right, and return home humbled. But he didn't. Years passed, and the silence between us grew heavier. Margaret kept writing to him. She'd smile when he sent a letter back, but she'd never show me what he wrote. I guess she knew my pride wouldn't let me read it. Then one day she fell sick. The kind of sickness you can't fight with tools or work. Cancer. I stayed by her side until the end, but before she passed, she made me promise one thing: to write to Daniel. "It's time, Henry," she whispered. "He's your son. Don't let pride steal what little time you both have left." I nodded. I meant it, too. A few weeks later, I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Daniel used to do his homework, and I wrote him a letter. I told him I missed him, that I was sorry, that I was proud of him, no matter what he became. When I finished, I just stared at that envelope. I had his address, Nashville, Tennessee. I could have mailed it that very moment. But my hands wouldn't move. Something in me, that same stubborn fright, whispered, "You can send it tomorrow." Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. And one night, after a few too many drinks, I threw the letter into the fireplace. Watched the flames eat every word I should have said years ago.
A few months later, I got a call from one of Margaret's old friends.
She told me Daniel had been in a car accident. He didn't make it. I don't remember what I said. I don't even remember hanging up. All I remember is sitting by that same fireplace, staring at the ashes, and realizing that the last thing I gave my son wasn't love. It was silence. Years passed. The store closed down. I sold the house, Moved into this small apartment with creaky floors and a window that looks out over the same street where Daniel used to ride his bike. I kept his guitar though. It's old and dusty now, but sometimes I sit beside it, run my fingers over the strings, and try to imagine the songs he used to play. A few years ago, I found one of Margaret's old boxes in the attic. Inside was a letter. My letter. Or rather, the one I thought I burned. She must have taken it before I did. She'd saved it, tucked it away like she knew I'd need it someday. I opened it and read my own words. For the first time, I cried. Not the kind of tears that fall when you're sad, but the kind that come when you finally understand what you've lost. I realized forgiveness doesn't need to be earned. It just needs to be given. Daniel might be gone, but that letter reminded me that love doesn't end when someone dies. Regret only ends when you decide to stop holding on to the things you can't change. If you're listening to this, and there's someone in your life you haven't spoken to, a parent, a friend, a child, don't wait. Don't let pride turn into regret. Say the words while you still can. Because once the letter burns, all that's left is ash. I don't know if Daniel ever forgave me. I like to think he did. I like to think, wherever he is, he knows I finally understood. And maybe that's enough.